All right. Welcome to the City of Newberry Historical Architectural Review Board meeting on Monday, January 7th, 2019. Before we get started, I'd like to take this opportunity. We need to make a couple of changes to our agenda, and I need to announce those before we get to the approval of the agenda. We need to add, after the call of order, a Pledge of Allegiance, and under new business, we need to add a section for the Fdot, a new item for the Fdot State Road 26 widening presentation.
You need a motion to move.
And I would need a motion to do this.
Proceed.
Right,
New agenda.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the changes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. If we can now, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Need to announce that, really? Bill Conrad's not here for this evening. He's on vacation, so he won't be with us tonight. But now if we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. So, made a change to the agenda, so at this point I'm going to go ahead and read the entire agenda this evening. Number 1 is call to order. 2 is a Pledge of Allegiance. Our new number 3 is the approval of the agenda, and that was to amend the new agenda to add something for the new business. We have 4 is the approval of minutes of November 5th, 2018. 5 is announcements. 6 would be old business. 7 is new business. We have an application, CA 18-03. It's a request by Jamie Jones, agent for the City of Newberry, owner, for a certificate of appropriateness to allow a change from asphalt shingle to metal roofing materials for a roof replacement located at 25420 West Newberry Road, which is tax parcel number 02174, tax 000, tax 000, located within the Newberry Historic District. Then we have item B, which is the Fdot State Road 26 widening presentation. Item 8 for this evening would be topics for members for discussion, and 9 would be adjournment. We have a motion to approve the agenda. All right, we got a motion?
Second.
And a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion passes. All right, so everybody had an opportunity to look at last month's minutes. Is there anything in it that somebody disagrees with, wants to change, or needs clarification?
Motion to approve the minutes.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. All right. At this time, we have no announcements. No city announcements. So we've got no old business. So that takes us to number 7, new business, which is the application CA 18-03. It's a request by Jamie Jones, agent for the City of Newberry, owner, for a certificate of appropriateness to allow a change from asphalt shingle roof to metal roofing materials for a roof replacement located at 25420 West Newberry Road, which is tax parcel 02174, tax 000, tax 000, located within the Newberry Historic District. All right. Yeah, let's turn that off. who's making the presentation for the roof? Mr. Jones?
Mr. Chair, Jamie Jones, our Facilities and Utilities Director is here, and then we also have a staff report.
Okay. Mr. Jones?
Good evening. We are requesting that the board consider and approve a certificate of appropriate this application for the roofing change at the municipal building from the current asphalt shingle installation to a standing seam metal roof. The building was constructed in the
Mr. Jones, can I stop you for 1 second?
Quasi-
Since this is a quasi-judicial process, we need to go into and swear you in as well. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay.
Does he need to read the
It's not noticed
I didn't think it was
here
either.
that it's quasi-judicial.
Is it?
Okay.
So you need to read the procedures?
Yes, I do.
And I have this. I have this right here. Is this what you're looking for?
Oh, yeah, wait, we got that's old.
It's old, okay.
That's new.
All right.
Yeah, Amy, give me a new copy.
And I can go ahead and read it by title first and then have you introduce the procedures.
Okay. Do that.
So this is for resolution number HARBCA 2019-01, a resolution of the Historic Architectural Review Board of the City of Newberry, Florida, for approval of certificate of appropriateness authorized under section 11.11 of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations, providing for alteration of the outside exterior of a building or structure that is visible to the public, allowing a change from asphalt shingle to metal roofing materials for a roof replacement on a building which is designated historic by the provisions of the City of Newberry Land Development Regulations and is located at 25420 West Newberry Road, tax parcel number 02174-000-000 within the Newberry Historic District, repealing all resolutions in conflict and providing an effective date.
Okay.
Mr. Boyer.
All right, since this is a quasi-judicial, I'm going to read you our procedures for the evening. Okay. The order of the presentation shall be as follows, unless the chair determines to proceed in a different order, taking into consideration fairness and due process. A, the city staff will overview the application. The applicant will present its case, no time limit. City staff will present its case, no time limit. Any party intervener will present its case, no time limit. Participants in opposition to or support of the application will make their presentation. Each participant will be limited to 3 minutes. Representatives representing a group of 3 or more persons attending the meeting may speak for the group upon signed affidavit reflecting consent to be represented by the group. And the representative will be limited to 5 minutes to speak on behalf of the group. The applicant may cross-examine any witness and respond to any testimony presented. The party interveners may cross-examine any witness and respond to any testimony presented. Staff may cross-examine any witness and respond to any testimony presented. And the chair of the decision-making body may allow participants to respond to any testimony if the chair deems a response necessary to ensure fairness and due process. Members of the decision-making body, through the chair, may ask questions of the staff, applicant, party, interveners, and the participants. Final argument may be made by the applicant, party interveners, and then the staff, related solely to the evidence and testimony presented at the hearing and introduced into the record. The city attorney will advise the decision-making body as to the applicable law and the factual findings that must be made to approve or deny the application. The decision-making body will conduct open deliberation of the application, and after deliberations, a vote shall be taken to approve, approve with conditions, continue, subject to requirements outlined below, or deny the application. and the chair shall have discretion to extend or shorten these timeframes after the order of presentations and/or the admissibility of how documentary evidence is admitted for good cause shown. That's awful wordy. Is there anybody on the board that has any ex parte communications concerning?
Right, and I had a little bit of, just to understand what kind of roofing we're looking at earlier today.
And I don't. Does your communication in any way affect any decisions you'd make tonight?
No.
Any, well, I guess your staff, so. All right, so there's no ex parte communications on behalf of the board.
I'm just going to make a quick comment about the public testimony, and then we're good to go. All public testimony will be taken under oath. Everyone testifying will be subject to cross-examination. All documents and exhibits shall be entered into evidence. The giving of opinion testimony is limited to experts, and closing arguments will be limited to the evidence of record.
Can I make a point? Can we get this reprinted on another piece of paper for us so I can read it all at one time?
And I apologize, Mr. Chair. It's the this is the new quasi-judicial procedure that we just passed the end of last year, and so we
Correct.
haven't gotten it out yet.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Jones.
As I stated before, we are requesting that you consider and approve a certificate of appropriateness application for the change in roofing material on the municipal building from asphalt shingles to a standing seams style roof. The building was built in the late 1930s. It's approximately 5,000 square foot on the roof. The existing asphalt roofing has reached the end of its used and useful lifespan. The city is looking to put out a request for bids to receive roofing proposals. We would like to start with the standing seam roof. It is a longer lasting material. It will be aesthetically pleasing and less maintenance intensive. We solicited the input of a local architect that specializes in historical buildings. J. Reeves is the architect, and he stated based on the age of the building, it most likely has been shingles or potentially asbestos tiles when it was originally constructed in a light to medium gray color. He indicated that if we were to put a metal roof, he would suggest going with that color to match the adjacent area. So, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if the board may have.
Okay. I do have one question. On the, it won't go over to the, it'll just come right to the walkway, the covered walkway, correct? It won't extend past that?
It will just be the municipal building. It will not be the walkway that extends and touches the city hall building. That roof has not reached the end of its useful lifespan, and we're currently doing a space study on the city hall to determine if we need to make any improvements or alterations to this building, and we wouldn't entertain any kind of repair or changes until it's determined what long-term needs are here. And the municipal building is actually potentially wild spaces eligible project where the municipal city hall building and the walkway in between general government funded facilities.
Anybody have anything else for the applicant?
To the staff, or Mr. Chair, approximately how long will the the building be where you can't occupy it? On average, do we have to wait completely until we get contractors to look at it to give us an estimate? Do we as a city know how long do we want to be without use of the building?
We put out a request for bids, Mr. Chair. We would work out those details. I do not anticipate that the building would be where it would be unoccupied. Most of the repairs can be performed while the building is in use. There may be some noise associated with that. It may affect the type of rentals that want to use it. You might not want a wedding going on with your family and family on top of the roof. We would coordinate that well in advance of any rentals of the facility.
Do we have a date approximately that we were? No.
Mr. Chair, we do not. Like I said, we were putting out a request for bids. We have to evaluate those bids, determine if we can afford the prices that come back, if we stay with the metal roof. If we cannot afford that, we will potentially go back with the same type asphalt shingle construction, which will require a subsequent bid, all of which has to come before the city commission for approval if it exceeds certain purchasing thresholds. So realistically, we're looking at sometime in the springtime as the earliest that this could commence.
What's the difference between, how long the shingles, what's the difference between how long the shingles and how long the, metal roof is and lasting?
Mr. Chair, typically, they advertise the lifespan of asphalt shingles either in a 25 or a 30-year shingle. That is a little optimistic in the state of Florida. The average lifespan of a metal roof is 35 to 45 years, if installed properly.
Key point. You have anything else, Mr. Jones? Does the staff want to make a presentation?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And if you'd like to raise your right hand, and do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Helps when you turn on the technology, then it works. Okay, as we've already gone through, it is a request by Jamie Jones as agent for the City of Newberry owner for a change to the exterior. As you're all aware, just as a brief recap though, anytime you have a contributing structure in the historic art district of Newberry that's going to change the exterior appearance, then you have to come before the Historic Architectural Review Board for review and approval, certificate of appropriateness. Just to give you a brief overview, there's the boundary of the historic district, shows an outline around the municipal building where it lies within the district. Again, a little bit closer blow up of the subject property you're all pretty familiar with. This is what the roof looks like right now. As Mr. Jones stated, it's at the end of its useful life. This is a general approximation of what it would look like with the metal roof replacement. Similar color tone to what's already there, but with ribs instead of metal ribs instead of the shingles. There are a number of structures throughout the historic district that have both shingles and metal roofs. There's just some examples of some structures with metal roofs in the historic district, contributing structures. And so, as Mr. Jones mentioned, we did speak with the architect that specializes in historic districts, and his recommendation was that we could do either or and still be within the general guidelines of what would have been appropriate for that period of time of the historic district. And so, for that reason, and the desire to put a roof up that will be, over the long haul, less expensive and longer lasting, request approval, recommend approval for adoption of Resolution HRV CA 19-01.
Any questions for Ryan? Is there anything else, right now?
That's it, Mr. Chair.
Okay. At this time, I'll ask, is there anybody in the public that would like to speak about this? All right. Mr. Jones, is there anything else that you would like to add?
You want to cross-examine staff?
Yeah.
No, I would rather not, but like I stated before, we'd just like the board to consider and approve the application. But if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay. staff like to cross-examine the witness?
No, Mr. Chair.
Can I ask a quick question
Yes, sir.
on the budget sense? I was hearing about if it costs more for the metal roof. Have we done a cost comparison to, even though metal might cost more, what that cost entails in comparison to the longevity of that roof in comparison to what we would get with the shingles? Because shingles might be cheaper, but it might not last us as much as the metal would.
Well, that's exactly the point. The metal roofing lasts longer, so your dollar will go further.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Will we consider, even though it costs more for a metal roof, would the city consider increasing what we would pay for the roof to get done?
We have evaluated the cost of shingle roof versus the cost of the metal installation. The metal installation is more money up front, but as I stated before, has a longer lifespan. We anticipate that will more than compensate in cost savings overall.
It's just my concern is I don't want to deny a metal roof because it costs more, even though we know it's going to cost more. It's just going to be.
My understanding from the presentation is that you're getting 1.5 times more life from a metal roof as opposed you get almost 40 years out of a metal roof as opposed to 20 to 25 years. Sometimes they say 30, but you'll never see it.
Well, insurance guidelines, we usually say 15 for shingle roofs, so it's definitely, and we do 35 for metal, so it definitely surpasses the life of shingles.
Anybody have any other questions?
Just the color of the roof, it was about 4 or 5 different ones listed here. That's the color of the roof.
Mr. Chair, we anticipate staying with the architect's recommendation, whether it is the shingles or a metal roof, that we would go with the gray color that would be of the period.
Okay. So it'll be something similar in color to what's up there now.
Okay. But the boards around the roof is brown, a dark brown, like a charcoal gray.
Mr. Chair, as part of this roofing project, we will also evaluate and repair any issues with the roof deck underneath the shingles. We would be replacing a good bit of the subfascia exposed board that the board member spoke to, and any color variations, any painting will occur at that time.
We don't have any, there's, again, no public to speak on behalf of this or against this. And board has no more questions for the applicant or staff? May I close it down for discussion? All right, so at this time, we're going to go ahead and close this down and the meeting, or I should say the presentation, and the board's going to discuss this. And you have anything?
I think it meets all the criteria set forth in determining the certificate of appropriateness, so I don't have a problem with this at all.
Ms. Walden?
I would prefer a metal roof.
Okay. So no objections to what he presented, or?
No.
I definitely agree. I prefer a metal roof, especially for the longevity. Even the cost is definitely a little bit more. It's going to be worth the investment. And it's going to match our downtown area more. If you look, there's more metal roofs popping up, and that's what our old historic district used to look like anyway, apparently, from pictures and whatnot. So
You could get a dirt road too, I think.
I'm all right. I'll bring back the horses and carriages. I mean, let's do it. Might just bother some people from Trenton trying to come over.
Well, at this point, does anybody need to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve, application, CA 1803, for a certificate of appropriateness to allow asphalt to metal roof.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Anybody in the public want to speak to the motion on the floor? Got one public out there. All right, we've got a second, or we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes unanimous. So, let's get to work and see if we can't get a new roof on there. Thus endeth the quasi-judicial. All right, at this time, we got number B, which is the FDOT State Road 26 widening presentation. If representatives from the FDOT would like to come up for their presentation and just state your name just for a record.
Sure. My name's Dr. Ian Pond, FDOT District 2 Cultural Resources Coordinator.
Hello, I'm Terry Newman, Environmental Manager. I do most of the NEPA actions that we work on for the transportation project.
Well, thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you for having us.
The floor is yours.
Okay. What I wanted to discuss today is that, are you all familiar with the State Road 26 one-way pair system that's being proposed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. As part of the process and the PD&E process for that, to comply with Chapter 267 of Florida statutes, we evaluate whether or not the project will have any effects on properties eligible for the National Register of Historic Places. As such, we have determined that the project will have an adverse effect on 3 properties in the Newberry Historic District. 25238 Northwest 1st Avenue, 25252 Northwest 1st Avenue, and 98 Northwest 254th Street, which is the cold storage building right over that way.
Mr. Chair, up on your screen, the 3 identified in the order are up there as 1, 2, and 3.
Where's the cold storage?
Number 3.
Okay, so it's the,
So are we talking about complete demolishment of these properties?
Well, that's a bit of what we are proposing, yes. But we want to talk about that a little bit.
And so 1 and 2 are the residential properties. And of course, number 3 is a commercial property that was used as I guess most recently sold cold.
Yeah, it's cold storage.
Yeah. They sold, what did they sell?
Sausage.
Yeah,
eggs.
so it's a package store. essentially.
They will prepare your hunt. Your
Yeah, okay. But as you know, there was a fire in that building a few years back, and it received quite a bit of damage. And so the original structure, which was part of the historic portion, is right in the middle, and then they added on the wings, which were, really not, let's say, synthetic or compatible with the original structure. So that building itself, our proposed mitigation would be to remove that structure altogether. But our mitigation will continue on with some other stuff when we address the 2 residential properties.
yes, sir.
Would you guys be amenable if you guys are able to negotiate and demolish the property, perhaps to deeding it over to the city of Newberry, and the city of Newberry would make a parking lot there for the whole town? That'd be
Yeah, we can extend a parking lot.
We wouldn't have any problem with that. We'd have to go through our process with right-of-way, or our right-of-way group.
Okay.
I think that's,
we could take the liability and we'll upgrade it for you and all that kind of stuff if you'll deed it over to us. That'd be
we will take that suggestion, keep it in mind, and then that will be a decision our attorneys and our right-of-way agents would work through. We don't have any objection to that.
Are you guys responsible for the demolition when this happens?
If we acquire it, we definitely would be responsible.
All right. Yeah, I thought there was plans for that. I thought there was going to be redone.
Well, he is still, Sanford, at this point in time, still does plan to renovate it and reopen. Now, I think if this is a good time for you guys to enter into those negotiations, because he's got to spend an awful lot of money to bring that building back up to code. So, and if it's going to be an issue with the road, I think now may be a fortuitous moment. I don't know, what's your timeline to entering into those negotiations?
Well, right now, we have to get through the NEPA process. And so part of what we do here today is identify minimization or mitigation measures for impacts to these historic structures. And so we have to get all this approved and through the system before we can begin right-of-way acquisition. Sorry to say, I don't know what their schedule is on that, but I mean, we want to move through this.
Is it
very
possible
quickly.
for you to communicate with the property owners and just let them know that this may be a potential outcome? Just, I know that they're making plans right now. I hate for them to be spending money with an engineer, those kinds of things.
Notice of our.
You have
I have
communicated.
received
Okay.
notices of the State Road 26 project, but, you know, and I have received all the documentation that has been offered to the public and in our meetings and et cetera. I believe that they are aware, and we certainly know the residential property owners are aware that those buildings are in conflict. We will be approaching them at some point.
Brian, have you talked to Sanford about
Not
that?
yet.
Because I thought I knew that the two houses, but this was the first time I realized that the cold storage was.
Yeah,
So-
when I spoke with Dr. Pond last week, that was the first I knew of actually all three of them, so.
Okay, but we'll
yeah.
commute. I mean, I can call it myself if I need to. It's just better coming straight from FDOT.
Right,
You
well,
should say, hey,
and
we
our
are serious
right-of-way
about
agents
this.
will do all that.
Okay.
We cannot, you know, have that conversation until we get with them, and I can give you the point person for that.
Okay.
That'd be great. I hate to see him start sinking money into that,
Right.
and then he's got an opportunity to maybe break even or something.
Yeah, we'll be glad to give you their name, and I'll forward that on to you, and get that information to you.
Okay.
These other two
Yes,
houses,
ma'am.
the ones on First Avenue, what houses were those? I can't picture them.
They've got two of them right there. On the,
That's structure number one.
that's number
There's
one,
number two.
and that's number two.
Are
And it
they-
seems like they just did some work to those houses too.
Are they occupied right now?
Mr. Chair, neither one of them are homesteaded, so my assumption is that they're rental properties of some sort. But I think to the mayor's point, they did recently have some renovation work done on them. They appear to be in pretty good, at least exterior-wise, they appear to be in pretty good shape.
Is that just across the railroad track or is that this way?
No, ma'am, it's just across the railroad track. It's east of the railroad track. Yeah.
The first two houses there?
Mhm.
And north.
Yeah, you can see on the map the railroad track, and then they're just east of it.
Number two is directly north of the medical office there, and number one is directly across from the Pickett home.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if Jamie is still in here, if he's still sitting. Brian
I think
May.
he left.
He's already gone. Is it, I know that when you guys presented to us, we weren't talking about a whole lot of area in either direction. Is it cheaper to perhaps pick up the house and
Move it
move it backwards a little bit than it is to demolish the whole thing? Would that be, have you ever done?
They're fairly
Anything like that?
decent-sized lots, so moving the house off of your right-of-way, is that an option?
This is something that FDOT has done, but often it can be a process that has a lot more cost to it than you first anticipate. Of course, it's more than just picking up the house and moving it back on the lot. You have a lot of utility disruptions. You might have to move your utility hookups and things like that. And
And again, the structural, whether it's structurally able to do that and then reconnect all the facilities that it would meet the setbacks. Again, we talked about whether or not it could meet the current criteria for setbacks for whatever it needs to. And just in the, how would I put it? We recognize the value of these homes as part of the historic district. We did look at them in great detail, and we saw that while they have been nominated in terms of a contributing structure to the district, neither one of them are individually eligible for the National Register. So typically when we talk about moving houses, it's some sort of national landmark or individually eligible because of the cost and all the other things that go with it. So our ideas today were not to move those houses, but to come up with some other strategy to have a valuable mitigation that would replace that. And we have thought about some ideas that we would like to talk to you about. So right now our initial idea is that all three structures will be removed. It's not set in stone. I think the Newberry cold storage definitely would go down that path. The residential structures 1 and 2, maybe not as much, but this is what we're thinking. However, we have done this a number of times, and when we go through this mitigation strategy, there's all kind of different things that we can do. And a lot of it has to do with public education, public outreach, and we've seen as we move through recently some things that we could do for the city of Newberry, and it would be to create this history video, YouTube video of the history of Newberry using a lot of different things. We may even have some oral history of some of the older people or their descendants that could talk about that, and you would have something. And again, we could feature these structures within the video and have this placed wherever we want to again, and then utilize that as a teaching thing for generations to come. We could also have the visual where they're at. We do some aerial photography in there, a lot of different things. So we're proposing this as kind of a creative mitigation as opposed to what we've done in the past, just recording, and then that stuff goes in a file somewhere, and you don't see it. We go in and do what they call the recording the structure in terms of the architectural drawings and all that kind of stuff, and the large format photography. While that is good for some things, we just don't feel that this is the same situation. So the video seems really good, and we had a really good example. We were researching, and I don't know if y'all are familiar with it, but if you go online, and there's a video that was produced for Section 106 mitigation for the Eisenhower tunnels, western Denver, Colorado. Oh, it's just fabulous, and we kind of want to model our video after that.
And we thought also it could be something, the City of Newberry website has a series of videos about several aspects of Newberry, and we thought this video could be something that could fit in nicely there as well. And then it's also very easily, like Terry was saying, something you can very easily send out to people through just an email link, or you can point them to the right web address. And it's just, I think it's a much more creative and modern way to approach mitigation.
That's the only issue I'm running into is the whole I'm all about modernization, but some of our citizens are not about modernization. My question with the cold storage is, do we have ample space somewhere in the city that we can possibly potentially sell to them for? So if they buy the property, deed it over, however you want to work it. I'm just looking at the fact that cold storage is something that's known for Newberry. Ever since I moved out here, people are like, cold storage, cold storage, cold storage. You guys have a great place for meetings and whatnot. To demolish it and just say, hey, here's a video about it, doesn't really bring it back. So my concern is to those citizens of Newberry that hold that to their hearts, even though it hasn't been opened in a year and a half now, I would say, almost, with the whole fire incident. Is there a potential for us to help them look into another location and keep them home in Newberry?
I'd say that there's probably 2 or 3 places that they would be a better fit at this point anyway. So and we're going to encourage them to get a branch open back up here in Newberry for all the reasons you just articulated. I think that the reason they've been slow is he's figured out that he can do almost everything that he needs to do out of his Chiefland branch.
Yeah.
And Newberry folks are loyal enough to drive over there and get it from him. So we're going to do everything we can to encourage him to open back up in Newberry.
This may work out better.
But I believe that I think he's looking at mounting costs at those buildings, and as he's been adding that up, and he's figured out that he can do everything where he's at in Chiefland, it's just kind of been dragging out, So hopefully this may be the spur to get him to say, hey, let's work with Brian. Let's find you a better location, better suited, because we certainly need the downtown parking if we were able to work out with that.
Yeah, I mean, it would work both hand in hand.
And to that point, Mr. Chair, given the age of the structure, the damage that was involved, the fact that it's been coming up on 2 years, it's very likely that the cost to actually bring it back up to functioning and code compliant would exceed the cost of moving to a new structure. That's another consideration.
That was what I was thinking, as opposed to, either restoring the building or, letting the state take it or buy it.
Something like that in the works. I had another question for the city and for FDOT, would be the utility situation, the power poles. Obviously, if you're going to demolish, if according to that picture, the cold storage is correct, you got a nice big power pole right in front of it. Are we looking to put underground poles, underground power as an investment? Is that something that we can talk about? Is that something that we can?
Mr. Chair, it's been discussed as part of the city's contribution to the One-Way Pairs project. There is potential that the city would attempt to underground the utilities along the main corridors, or at least this one, as the road is being dug up.
I figured while we're at it, right? Upgraded
it's definitely being looked at and considered.
It would bring a tear to my eye to lose that building. We've already lost the Kincaid building.
That's why my concern is I want to bring it back home. I want it to be up and running again.
It just may cost too much anyways to
salvage it.
So the popularity, just for me to understand, the popularity is due to the type of business that was run out of there, not necessarily due to the.
I think it was the product they produced.
Yeah.
I don't think we care where they produce it. We just want that sausage back in our life.
You got it.
That bacon is on it.
Without having to go to
bacon.
It's the longevity of it. It's just very popular for
not
even.
necessarily the structure itself, but.
Correct.
But
It's the
what was
business.
inside of it? It was the
But it's
business.
the businesses that
Yeah.
were in it. Before it was where they made sausage, it was something else. It was a theater.
So the
that
concern
they
is making
used
a
back
deal to
in-
make it happen.
Yeah, and a lot of us were excited when when he was going to rebuild it, and looking forward to that grand reopening. But I could look forward to a grand reopening in another building.
In Newberry.
Newberry.
So, Mr. Chair, you guys aren't looking for any direction from the board tonight because we just added this on. So you're just looking for a conversation.
Yeah, like I say, we can't give any kind of decisions tonight. So we're here listening and giving input, but that's about.
Now the residentials, we know it's possible rentals. We know it's being occupied, or we just think it's occupied.
We don't know for certain, Mr. Chair, if they're occupied, but I do know they're not homesteaded, and so the assumption is that they're probably occupied rentals. They look occupied.
And have the I mean, I don't know the laws on tenants or whatnot, but what is the proper notification? Do the tenants get notified, or is it just the owners of the property get notified?
From my understanding, Mr. Chair, the owners would be the ones right now that be notified. At some point, depending on if the FDOT were to acquire them, then there'd be a whole legal process in terms of voluntary the tenants vacating voluntarily, based on some sort of arrangement, that kind of thing. I mean, they work they have a legal team that works all of that, those kind of decisions out.
Do these, two dwellings on First Avenue, does the owner of them know that they're in the right of way basically, or in the way?
Yes, that individual has attended some meetings and has had some conversations with some of our staff.
How's that conversation gone? Well,
I wasn't there.
Okay.
They just said that they were aware of it and that, well, first of all, we went through a process of adjusting the roadway to miss a lot of the historic buildings. And we really came down to this last area. This is the minimum right-of-way that we could fit through here. And then these three structures were the last remaining things that we could not avoid completely. And even one of these structures, you're right up on the porch. You could possibly leave it, but it would not be, it wouldn't be a good thing.
well, it's zero lot.
I think it still would be an adverse effect in terms of our, determination.
Essentially, the length that we would have to move the sidewalk towards the property to take enough of the parcel, that would still be an adverse effect.
Door, the sidewalk.
Right.
I don't think
It's
it
a
would
little
be.
too close.
But anyway, we're welcome, if you'd like to, send us some ideas or, you have any further discussion here, what you
Well,
think,
I want to thank you for working so hard to get it down to such a minimal impact, because this is a big project that runs straight through the heart of Newberry, and to be able to achieve it with only having to affect 3 structures is pretty impressive. And you guys have been great this whole time, knocking on doors in the neighborhood, talking to people, making sure that they knew about the public meetings, making sure that they knew coming here to talk to the Harb tonight. We really do. We appreciate the time and effort that you guys have put into this. Are we still on a 7-year time frame? So if everything moves forward fine and you're able to acquire these properties, would the people need to vacate, the tenants need to vacate within about 5-6 years from now? Is that still roughly? I know you can't say we're going to be here in this month and this year, but is that still kind of what we're looking at?
That's currently what's in the schedule. As
Okay.
long as there's funding to go along with it, that's currently what's in the schedule. Sometimes these things do move out a little, sometimes they move in a little. So that is it, but there will be plenty adequate time. Our negotiation agencies and right-of-way agents will give them plenty of time to seek other.
Is there any talks on I'm sorry.
Are there gonna be more public workshops about this whole transition as we go through the process? Is that
Are you
part
looking
of
at me
it?
or you
Yeah, either
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Chair, staff.
I'm not aware of FDOT planning on doing any more of this. You guys have done 4, I think.
Yeah, they gave us an awesome video.
4. Now there may be one when you finalize it and we know exactly what it's going to look at. There may be another, but the commission's already voted, so now it's really just about funding from Tallahassee.
Because one of my concerns is that, I mean, obviously we found out as the board itself about this presentation fairly late. And I think that while I know that there has been a lot of discussion with the actual homeowners, even the ones that aren't in the historic district, that, this was the kind of thing that perhaps should have been broadcast better to the public even when we found out at late notice.
Are you talking about tonight?
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
think that there are other people who live on First who are impacted by this change, and even people in the community who, watching it on YouTube is one thing, but who might have ideas too about different types of mitigation and how to, not just for the homeowners, but, community-wise, mitigate some of the impact to the community.
I'm not exactly sure how we got such late notice tonight. I just got the call yesterday, or maybe it was
As part
today.
of our process,
Yeah, I got
we
Yeah.
just
this
wanted to
today.
meet with, some of the folks that deal with the historic issues within Newberry and present some ideas. It's not a done deal yet. We have to go through the process with the State Historic Preservation Office. We like to go to them with ideas of what we're proposed for mitigation for impacting these structures. So we said, well, why don't we meet with, some of the folks in Newberry and get some input from them. So under our other public notices that we've given for the actual roadway project, we have reached out to these homeowners. We've given them, we've gone door to door, we've talked about impacts to the district. So at that point, we did not talk about mitigation because we didn't really know what we would need to mitigate for. So, we have had that outreach in terms of stakeholder input, and we always ask and ask to receive public comment, both orally and in writing, and if people are not, do not attend the meetings, they send us emails, and we do quite a bit of
If somebody's watching right now, do you have an email that you could speak into the microphone if they want to send you a request?
Yeah, you can use my email, which is ian.pon@dot.state.fl.us.
Can you say that one more time again, real slow, for somebody's at home trying to?
It's-
I was looking for a
and
pen when you
it
started
is
out,
spelled.
you know.
They
And
give us
Ian is
complicated.
IAN.
So it's ian.pawn@dot.state.fl.us. I had to think about it myself.
Yeah.
They give us these long emails.
I know they give us the same thing. The STEM is incredible, but again, I mean, there's always we can keep having more public meetings, and you guys may plan to, but I've never seen FDOT walk up and down the street knocking on doors, hanging door hangers, and I'm not sure it was you guys or the other group, but the
Some
effort
public
to
involvement
the
groups,
effort
yes,
to make
they
sure
do.
that everybody's
They're all-
aware and
they're all
everybody's
in the same department, but we
right.
have different
And I
tasks.
remember you had a public meeting and not too many people showed up. And so you went out and you walked up and down the street and you knocked on doors and you tell people and you put it out, and then you had another one. And then I think you've had two more since then. So this one was short notice, but in the whole grand scheme of things, I think you guys have gone above and beyond. Usually I think we in the city of Newberry, it's two public meetings and we move on, So.
And I apologize for the short notice. Our effects determination that went to the State Historic Preservation Office was actually just approved in December. So I think it's kind of just timed with when you all are having a meeting too. So I think we had
The
just
holidays.
we had the holidays, and I think your last meeting was in November, so we had just missed that too.
Last thing is just to reiterate a little bit on Jessica's part, because I do hear from our citizens out there. Since I try to be out in public as much as possible with this. A lot of the outrage per se would be like, great, 3 homes are impacted, but what about the rest of the homes along that road that are going to be shortened? Like even though the easement is shortened, what about us? What about our homes? So I just want to reiterate with the FDOT and staff is, we hear about 3 homes being impacted or 3 properties being impacted, but it's a greater impact. It's everybody up and down that strip, even if their house is not being touched. There's still construction. The concerns of, I'm a parent, they're parents, they have kids that play, even though the kids are not playing on the street. But now there's construction, there's, stuff going on. It's just making sure that adequate for not just 3 properties are being notified. Every single home up and down that street is being notified. I'm not trying to be hard. It's just this is what I'm hearing from the public, and as I'm trying to relay that message back from what I hear. I like the project. I vouch for it. I want it to occur because I believe in Newberry and I like what I see. I just got to answer to the public when they come at me saying, well, what about my house? This is in my backyard. And I got to feel for them. My house is not being impacted. My road is not even near here. It's like 6 blocks south, so I probably won't hear a noise, but I understand.
Because we face that all the time.
Okay.
It's not just the houses that have the direct impacts, but we do certainly try to give everyone as much information as possible about construction. Definitely makes a difference for our time.
And that's why.
And I appreciate you guys. Trust me, I really do. I just want to keep pushing we need to get our citizens well informed as much as possible, and I appreciate what you do.
One of the things that Mayor Marlowe was thanking them for is the fact that they are walking up and down the street, knocking on every one of our neighbors' doors and informing them of what's coming down the pipe. So, and that's a huge step. I mean, I don't usually give props to the state, but that's huge. I mean, that resonates big time for me. And a project like this going through a residential area, my concern is always, anyways, it's the children's safety. Are we going to have to come up with probably other safety regulations, or not regulations, but safety options for homeowners in the historic area to secure their perimeter from now what's going to be 30-mile-an-hour traffic, and it's 15 to 20 miles an hour back through there now, because the speed limit's going to increase, you know, once they build that road. Are we going to allow fences around the front yard? I mean, are these decisions that are going to have to come before the HARP board to allow those kind of changes in the historic district?
Mr. Chair, I mean, currently there's no prohibition on putting fencing in front yards.
Okay.
There's a limitation on the height and those kind of things, but you're still allowed to put a fence in the front yard.
Okay.
Based on the same limitations that the rest of it cover the whole city as far as that goes. Whether or not somebody chooses to do that, of course, is just a personal decision. And just to be clear too, there will be a couple of other these are the impacts that are limited to the historic district.
Correct.
There will be a couple of other impacts outside of the historic district that'll probably be brought back to
especially
show us
the
as
further
well.
west they go. There's big impacts there before they tie back into
Tying
the road.
back in, and also on the east when they tie in up the east. Yeah.
I understand that, but our only responsibility ultimately is how it impacts the historic district. And
Ultimately, I think it's staff's opinion is that it's a good thing in that you will only be required to worry about one direction of traffic. The overall speed will probably increase a little bit because you have a long straight of 30 miles an hour versus chopped up road with 25 or 30 miles an hour. But you're only going to have to worry about one direction of traffic now instead of two directions. So.
And I would also say when FDOT first came to this, to us here, it was a straight strip, no curbs and gutter. Since then, we've modified where we have some nice kind of bends in it. There's going to be sidewalks, curb and gutter. There'll be some bulbs there with some landscaping to kind of visually impair. So if you've seen the video, everybody, I think Naeem used the word outrage. I think that was pre-video. After the video came out, people saw visually what the road was going to look like, and they saw kind of how nice it was. There'd still be a sidewalk. Look, that mitigated a lot of the, oh my goodness, this is going to be a straightaway. And I remember we were in some meeting, and the FDOT said, look, if it's just out of control, the worst is you just put stop signs back in, and you've got a brand new two-paved road that's repaved, sidewalks, gutters. And if it's, if you just we can't control it, that's always a last-ditch effort. So, I think, I know a lot of folks slow down at those stop signs, but I think I don't think it'll be the apocalyptic speed strip that
It's not going to be a
everyone
racetrack.
thinks. Yeah. And if anyone still thinks that, I'll reshare that FDOT video because it certainly put most people's mind at ease to see,
And that's the video I was referring to, that they did an incredible
Yeah.
job for, getting to us. I mean, it was really a good video. But
And that'll be part of what we had envisioned, is that video is going to be embedded in our history of Newberry video for mitigation or any impacts to the historic district. So that'll be part of it. That's just going to give them, the visual on what we're proposing, and then we'll have, what was actually built and how all that ties together. But again, a brief history of Newberry with everything from the phosphates, the railroad, everything. So it'll be pretty interesting.
Speaking of railroads, how is this going to stop the railroad for? We're going to make some citizens happy that they're not going to be railroad crossings for a minute.
yeah, they're going to be stopped at one more place.
Nothing stops the railroad.
Well, I think we've concluded our
Thank you very much.
discussion tonight, and we're so glad that you were able to put us on the agenda with such short notice. But
Well,
we do see that y'all don't meet every every month. So
I wanted to catch you all at once. So if anybody has any ideas they want to share, I've provided my email. If you hear anything from the public, if any ideas they have, just send them to me, and we can consider all of that. And I think that's we're listening, and we want sort of the community's opinion on this, on what they'd like too. So.
Okay. Well, I definitely welcome you back. It may be down the road, we get enough of the community interested, or with enough questions, maybe we can get you guys back with a noticed meeting, in time to get everybody here, where they can ask you guys directly.
that'd be great. And so our next step is we'll go in a few weeks to the Department of State, Division of Historical Resources, and talk about mitigation and what we outlined here today as well, and see what input they have.
Okay. Fantastic.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all
Thank you
coming
very
down.
much.
Okay, we will.
All right.
I think we'll adjourn it.
You have a good night. Drive safe. All right. Well, it takes us to topics from members for discussion. Naeem, you got anything?
No, sir. Happy New Year to everybody. I'm hoping for a good year for our city.
I really don't have anything other than saying I'm glad we're all back at it. I'm glad to see everybody. Other than that, I'm assuming everybody had a great New Year. And we got a game starting in just a little bit. But I thank you everybody for being here this evening and making yourselves available. And thank you for everything you guys do. Mr. Mayor?
Happy New Year.
Just Happy New Year to everyone, and if you thought 2018 was good, just wait till you see, I think, what 2019 is going to bring. It's going to be a great year.
All right.
I'd like to congratulate Andrea on her first meeting of the year.
Thank you.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And with that, we are adjourned.